19, Lamar Jackson. Let's not forget, he didn't have an offseason last year. This offense is one of the most complicated offenses in the NFL. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of reads that Lamar Jackson has to make. He didn't have an offseason last year. And yes, I understand he's missing a little time right now because of COVID. But give him 4 or 5 weeks to kind of relearn the offense and go to the new iterations of this offense. I think you're going to see him return to form. Not to mention the new weapons they have on the outside that they got in the draft and in free agency. Lamar Jackson, I think, is going to shine this year with a full offseason to get better.
Quickly, Lewis, it's a fascinating division. Pittsburgh has run it for a really long time with the Ravens next door, and here come the Browns now. Do you favor the Ravens right now as you look at that division? Do the Ravens feel like the team to beat to you?
Yeah, I think they still are. Look, Cleveland's right there. They're nipping on their heels. But look, I like the overall Ravens organization. I like how strong they are down the middle of this football team. I am a big fan, as many people are, of Wink Martindale and what he really presents to offenses in terms of complexity, in terms of just different looks he can give. And they have the best secondary in the NFL. So, look, I think there's a lot of things working in their favor that they still win one of the best divisions in all of football.
Interesting. Sacho, earlier today, we asked you for your top 5 defenses in the league. You put Baltimore number 1. So that defense, Lamar Jackson, could be a very interesting year in Baltimore. Speaking of interesting, let's go to another quarterback situation. This is the one in Chicago, a team that's generated a lot of excitement since they made the aggressive move in the draft to go up and get Justin Fields from Ohio State. And the big question there is, when will we see him on the field? Meanwhile, Louis Riddick's tweet over the weekend captured a lot of attention. We've talked about it a good deal here. When Louis tweeted, not going to say how crazy good some of the things I've been told about Justin Fields, the professional, have been thus far. I don't want to hear the it's only training camp brigade puff up their chest and scream at the top of their lungs, but it's been that good, just saying. So, Louis, as you're aware, that got a lot of attention, and I'd like to get your perspective on that because you and I did the draft together.
Yeah.
We both heard all the stuff that they were saying about him in that process leading up to it. It sounds like you're suggesting that he is proving a lot of that wrong.
Yeah. Look, from day one that they've got him in there, I think from a football and personal character standpoint, he has blown their minds as far as, one, his football intellect, which they never were down on in the first place. But it is just now that they're seeing it firsthand, they're even more amazed at just how quickly this guy is learning their offense, understanding the nuance of it, not just of what he needs to do, but obviously what everyone else needs to do. His dedication to the craft itself, eliminating distractions, making sure it's all football all the time. When he gets in there, the professionalism, the smoothness with which he navigates the building, the players, the locker room, the deference and the respect that he shows Andy Dalton. As far as, look, I understand you're a guy who's played a long time in this league. I understand also I've been brought in here to be the future, maybe even the present, but I'm not going to step on your toes. I want to learn from you, show you the respect that you deserve. And then every day, the continuous incremental improvement on the football field as far as being able to process quickly, get through reads quickly, get the ball where it needs to be. When he's made mistakes, learn from them, not repeating them. And then when he just has been able to just flat out go out there and show that wonderful athletic ability, I mean, people's jaws are just hitting the floor. So now it's just a matter of how long do they wait? How long do they wait to put him in there? Can Matt Nagy, the head coach, afford to be patient like he has wanted to be with him when this kid is just blowing his mind every day? That's going to be the great question.
Well, Sacho, you played in Chicago fairly recently. You played for Matt Nagy, and sometimes I think people talk about the Bears like they were a terrible team last year, like they were the Jaguars or the Jets. The Bears made the playoffs last year, so I would ask you, who do you think gives them the better chance to make the playoffs this season, Dalton or Fields?
I think it's both, and let me explain. I think Andy Dalton needs to start the season, and then in Week 10, when the Chicago Bears have their bye week, you can reevaluate. If Andy Dalton's not giving you what you want through those first 9 weeks, in Week 10, take that bye week, reevaluate, and then bring in Justin Fields to finish off the rest of the way. I think Andy Dalton's a phenomenal quarterback. Cincinnati wasn't the best situation for him, and neither was Dallas last year after a few injuries. But I think Andy Dalton needs to start the season. Justin Fields needs to sit and to watch and to learn. And then when it's his time, at the earliest, the halfway point, when that bye week comes, he can come in. But even if it's later than that, I'm okay with Andy Dalton leading this team. They have a new defensive coordinator, Sean Desai, coming back to revamp this defense. You've got weapons on offense, Marquise Goodwin, et cetera, et cetera. You have speed on offense. So Andy Dalton needs to start it and then let Justin Fields come in and finish it.
Is your gut, really quickly, Lewis, is your gut that it takes that long? He's talking about mid-season, week 10. Do you think it will take that long before we see Fields out there?
No, I don't. And look, I understand what Matt wants. I understand what he was, what he was privy to in Kansas City with Patrick and Alex Smith and how that played out. But I think the dynamics are different here in Chicago. I think the urgency is different here in Chicago. And I think they need him more so in Chicago to be on the field than what Kansas City needed Patrick to play when he was a rookie.
I'm with that. Okay, we will keep a close eye on that situation in Chicago. Meanwhile, we hope that you'll keep a close eye on UFC 265 Saturday night. Great fight. Derek Lewis and Cyril Gane squaring off for the interim heavyweight championship. The main card starts at 10 Eastern on pay-per-view. You can order in English or Spanish by going to espnplus.com/ppv. Prelims start at 8 Eastern on ESPN2, ESPN Plus, and ESPN Deportes. Coming up is Trey Lance closing in on the starting job in San Francisco. Wait till you hear what one of his coaches had to say about what he's done in camp so far. You will hear it next.
Curiosity pushes you forward. It's what inspired Naomi to